Welcome to Young Montreal. I'm Christina Nicolo-Cuto.
And I'm Kristen Theodore.
On today's show, we'll talk about youth in the community.
And you know, Christina, these are two big important issues that sort of go hand in hand. Our first story is about an organization called Carrefour Jeunesse Emploi in Huntington, Quebec. Kelly Gregg has more.
Carrefour Jeunesse Emploi can be considered essential in Huntington. It's a service that helps find 16 to 35-year-olds employment in a town where jobs are few and far between. Patricia McDonough is 19 and knows firsthand the difference that Carrefour makes.
They help me better my job skills, like my job search skills. Like I learned another technique of how to make a resume, and I did little activities here and stuff like that.
McDonough is now working at the local co-op, but youth in Huntington are facing more than just a lack of jobs. As the director of the Carrefour, Karine Morin, explains, transportation, education, and motivation are the three of the biggest obstacles facing youth in this poor rural community.
People from Huntington are more, they are, I will say, loin du marché du travail. They've got no work experience, they don't have any high school diploma. Sometimes they are on welfare since 1, 2, 3 years, so it's hard to try to put them in action.
It's not only the young people who are having trouble finding jobs. Since the closing of Klein & Tinker, older people can't find employment and the town is literally falling apart. Klein & Tinker was the town's major employer. When it closed its doors in April of 2005, it left about 500 people without work. This is a quarter of Huntington's workforce. Since then, only about half the workforce has been able to maintain a steady job. This hits youth especially hard, due to the added competition and the lack of working parental role model.
It's hard for them to say, okay, I'm gonna try to find a job and wake up every morning, go at work, come back, and it's hard for them when you don't have this kind of model at home.
The Carrefour helps youth better their lives by finding work and confidence. Since opening in 2001, they boast a 60% success rate in matching youth with work. For Morin, just helping young people overcome issues they face growing up in Huntington can be considered a success.
When somebody comes here and we work with the person to help the person to maybe just get more self-esteem, I will say it's a success for us.
For Young Montreal, I'm Kelly Gregg.
Well, that was quite an eye-opener.
Yeah, it really was. And now we have Farah Hyatt with an inspirational story about a young man in her community trying to make a difference.
David Hodges, a man who proves that passion, perseverance, and purpose is all one needs to make a difference in the world. Making a difference he is by educating the youth of our community.
If you give them an opportunity or a chance and you tell them and you kind of motivate them in the right way, they could really change and they could really make something out of themselves.
Last summer, David ran a program at the West Island YMCA known as the Centre Jeunesse de Service, a program that helped young teens develop entrepreneurial skills.
What it is basically they learn the ins and outs of a company, like the organizational structure of one. So they'd be learning things like promotion and marketing, financing, scheduling, negotiating contracts, working and directly dealing with clients as well.
Although the CJS had a formal structure, David brought his own flavor to the program, making the CJS a great success.
Me, it was more like just like it was like I was like a big brother kind of thing. So like it was a lot of bonding. They opened up to me about their personal lives, and it was like at the same time what I was trying to teach them the most, or try to like even from example, trying to teach them about generosity, loving, giving, not being so like concerned about like just the company and themselves and making money. It's more about like extending this program to bringing it to a new level, and they really understood that.
Even today, David keeps in touch with the students from the program.
I think David is such a chill mentor. I think that if it would have been anybody else, I wouldn't really liked it as much. Even now, after the CJS and everything, we still, as a whole group of 10 or 11, we still go out and do things, even that we're not in the CJS, and that's really cool of David.
For David, being a mentor helped him realize the potential young people have.
You give these kids the proper tools and they could You know, they could build mountains.
But besides being a mentor for youths, David runs a business of his own. Later, we will see David the musician and how his music is making a difference. Back to you, Kristen and Christina.
So have you ever wondered what happens in the after hours of church?
Well, actually I have, and fortunately enough, Matthew Lafleur's piece has all the answers.
This is St. David's Parish, which is found in Pierrefonds in the West Island. On most days, this church is no different than any other, but come nighttime every second Friday of the month, the parish hall becomes a side door coffee house. A $7 admission gets you access to the venue, which hosts 3 to 4 acts that usually caters to an older crowd, in order to help raise money for the church's youth group.
There are not that many folk music venues in Montreal. There are a few. The Adair Coffee House and of course the Yellow Door Coffee House, so that kind of inspired us to say, well, why couldn't we start our own coffee house here? We have certainly have the facilities for it, and so we started in February of 2001, and it's kind of grown since.
To earn their money, the members of the youth group help set up before the show and clean up afterwards. Throughout the show and during intermission, they sell coffee, hot chocolate, cold drinks, and a variety of baked goods at the kitchen for $1 each. All the money goes to help fund the group's activities.
It started off as being just a fundraiser for the group in the year 1999 or 2000 to go to World Youth Days then. And it has since become just a regular fundraising event so that we can fund World Youth Day trips and as well other things. Sometimes we will give donations to Dans la Rue, or back in when 9/11 happened, we actually sent some money to the Red Cross for that. So it's a fundraiser that is to fund us, but we also sometimes donate it.
This week's show featured singer-songwriter Alison Notkin, country bluegrass band Zoo, singer-comedian Wendy Farha, and folk rock duo Victor Court and Carole Dumas. Zoo is a regular guest at the coffee house, and this most recent visit won't be their last.
Well, it's very pleasing to know that we can do something we love to do, to play music and to help people at the same time. That makes music all the more enjoyable.
The youth group takes part in social and spiritual activities, as well as other funding events like their annual spaghetti dinner. You can visit the Side Door Coffee House website to find out more about the December 12th show, starting at 8 p.m. For Young Montreal, I'm Matthew Lafleur.
So I was thinking of getting a tattoo.
Well, you wouldn't be the first or the last. Maybe the next piece can help you decide.
Here's Nico Oliveri with a profile on tattoos.
Tattoos have become a fashion accessory, but their historical roots have remained strong. Tattooing is an art and has become a career path for some. The process may be unpleasant, and many find getting tattooed to hurt. Hours are spent on drawing up an idea and choosing the right shades and colors to create the perfect tattoo art for one individual.
I think tattoos are a sign of art. They're a form of art. It's a style. It's like getting colorful hair. It's like wearing jewelry. It's like having a certain style. I think tattoos is part of that.
Others get tattoos for individual reasons, or sometimes to mark something significant that has happened in their lives.
I came to a point in my life where I was thinking about it for a long time and I wasn't sure what I wanted, and finally this summer with me going back to school and whatnot, and needing new challenges, and and I got tattooed symbolized that a lot for me, among other things like personal reasons as well, but just to kind of keep reminding me of things that I've gone through, I've been through, and that I'm going to go through, and that kind of keep myself in check and on track.
Although more and more people are getting tattoos, are they really becoming more socially accepted in society?
More and more, I think so. I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't like tattoos and that still see them as the whole biker thing, but I don't think as much as a few years ago. I think they're getting more and more accepted by every. If my dad is okay with them, I think they are. Yeah.
Tattoo shops are found all around Montreal. Jean-Michel is a tattoo artist. He explains that every few years, a certain tattoo design seems to be the hot trend.
The tattoo we do in a tattoo shop was different every 5 years. That changed. 5 years ago, it was Chinese symbol. Chinese symbol every 5 minutes, all the time. 10 years ago, it was a dolphin and a butterfly. And now, actually, it's lettering. We do lettering every day. Every day we have some lettering to do.
Tattoos have recently become more common to a larger demographic. Reality shows, such as TLC's Miami Ink, have helped broaden people's views on tattoos.
We have different people. You know, 5 years ago, it was rare to see an engineer 40, 50 years old coming to get a tattoo. That's clientele changed a lot. It was rare, now we have a lot of customer, 35, 55, who come because they saw the reality show and they saw that tattoo is not what they believed they were in the time.
And the trend is showing no signs of slowing down.
I would definitely get more tattoos. Once you start, you cannot stop.
And coming up a little later on in the show, we'll have the conclusion to Nika's piece, so be sure to keep watching.
And next up, Andrea Pare talks about an organization which helps young Montrealers find solutions to their personal problems.
Growing up can be a challenge. Thankfully, there's Youth Center Head and Hands. Located in the heart of NDG on Sherbrooke Street, the center first opened in 1970 as a medical clinic. Now it has free services in counseling, medical services, and legal aid.
Development Coordinator Leo Dilgoy says that Head and Hands is a safe place for youth to gather.
Head and Hands is a youth organization where we believe that when we give youth the right kinds of tools and a space where they feel comfortable, they're often in the best place, they're often the best people to make decisions for themselves.
Head and Hands is open to youth 12 to 25 with many different types of issues and backgrounds.
Our counselor sees a lot of people who struggle with issues of identity, for example, who they are and where they're going with their lives. People who are, maybe questioning, other parts of their identity, sexuality, for example.
Their sex education program is called the Sense Project and is primarily for youth aged 14 to 17.
We take sex ed into schools, very similar to the mandate that I spoke about earlier, and empower youth to teach sex ed in schools. So we train animators who are under 25 to teach sex ed in schools, and then bring youth from schools back to Head and Hands and train them to become peer educators.
One of their sex ed events was street dancing this past September at Ça Marche, a fundraiser for AIDS research. Those who use the services at Head and Hands often become volunteers and vice versa.
Staff, donor, member, board member, that stuff gets very blurred, and I think in traditional organizations you would never see a client who also raised money for the group, right?
With their 40th anniversary coming up in 2010, their staying power is clear. It looks like the next generation has nothing to worry about. I'm Andrea Pare for Young Montreal.
Now here's the conclusion to Farah's story.
As we saw earlier, David is actively involved in educating the youth of our community, but it is through his music that David is able to spread his message to a larger audience. David's passion for music started when he was just a child. His recording studio is in his own room. Here, David writes, records, and plays his own music. It is through his music that David is truly able to express himself.
My music, to me, it gives me a chance to externalize feelings that build up over time. I mean, for me, it's my passion. It's my number one passion in life, and my music is kind of been walking with me the entire way. And whatever is involved with my music is sort of it's helped me sort of understand and shift and form the person that I'm becoming at the same time.
In his concerts, David likes to create an open atmosphere.
To develop an atmosphere of giving, I say that my album's on sale for $10, but if you give me a hug at the end of the show, you can have my album for free.
David understands how music can impact the youth.
Through my music, I try to speak about this, but really, I really love to create an atmosphere where it's directly speaking about it for the youth, to make them understand that what you're seeing on TV and what you're hearing on the radio, you have to think about what they're saying and how they're trying to affect you to ultimately affect your lifestyle and get you to buy things.
David says that adults have the moral responsibility to set an example for the youths of our generation.
as adults and as looking at the new generation, we have to be prepared to have these conversations with them. Otherwise, they're just going to destroy themselves.
The youth are the driving force behind any community. In Quebec alone, 1 out of 4 students drop out of high school. It is individuals like David that help encourage youths to follow their passion by communicating to them at a level they can relate to. Whether it is through music or mentorship, youths need individuals like David Hodges. For Young Montreal, I'm Farah Hayat.
It's nice to know that there really are people like David Hodges in Montreal.
And now let's have a look at the end of Nika's piece on tattoos.
Although tattoos are becoming more common, they can sometimes get in the way. Students should be aware that tattoos can have consequences on their future. Jade De Silva is a student at McGill University, studying to become a teacher. Having tattoos, she explains that she fears they may have an effect on her career later on.
Well, I'm always scared it will, because as much as tattoos might start being modern and they're a little bit more mainstream, there still is a negative side to them. In 5 years, I think, in my opinion, school boards will have changed a little bit of their idea, and I think it's more about the person that's hiring me. And of course, I'm not going to walk in there with all my tattoos showing.
Hazel Milley is principal at Twin Oaks Elementary School. She believes that tattoos should be covered up in a classroom environment.
Tattoos within the school, I would put restrictions on. Because one of the things about adults in a school, or having the adults in a school, part of their role is modeling, right? Because a tattoo isn't going to influence how you're teaching or how well you can teach. It may cloud people's perceptions because people always look, right? You know, you're going to look, you're going to check it out, but the focus is on the teacher's presentation to the students, the presentation of learning.
However, Jade De Silva disagrees. She does not think that she should have to hide her tattoos.
Upon talking to the kids from my stage, they always were talking about, you know, my sister has a tattoo and my cousin has a tattoo. And if the rest of the people around them are showing them and they're not influenced, I mean, these kids can't get tattoos until 18. You need consent. So I think, yes, I would, because also my tattoos don't show anything that kids shouldn't be, you know, exposed to. It's not like I have a naked woman on my arm, so I think I would, yeah.
Tattoos are becoming much more accepted in society. They have become a style, a way to express oneself as an individual. People are becoming a lot more curious about the tattoo scene. Is it because of reality shows? Possibly. Or is it because of all the celebrities who have tattoos? Whatever the reason may be, more and more tattoo shops like these are opening up across Montreal. So, are you tempted to get a tattoo now? For Young Montreal, I'm Nico Oliveri.
Well, that's our show. We hope you've enjoyed it.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Stay young, Montreal!
A bad parental example.
1, 2, 3. People are becoming a lot more curious about the tattoo scene. What the fuck are you doing?
It also has a variety of programs that help street kids, pregnant teens. Fuck!
Let's have a look at the end of Nika's piece.
Make sure to keep watching. You fucking bitch. Okay, ready? You ready? Okay, so what do you think about tattoos?
I don't know what to answer to that!
What?